Everyone's safe. That's good news coming from Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. Just a few hours ago, after an overnight SWAT situation on the west side of Jacksonville, things could have been much different. Leah Shields has the latest with details from neighbors who were there on scene when this all started last night. Leah?
Police describe the situation as a man barricading himself in one of these apartments with a baby. Of course, like you said, everyone is safe. The scene is now clear, but neighbors say this started around 5 p.m. last night, and they described it as a hostage-like situation, and that man involved is now detained. The scene lasted for more than 12 hours. Police set up at the Courtney Manor apartment complex, blocking off the entrance and stationing a command center with a SWAT vehicle about a quarter-mile down the road. Neighbors have been up throughout the night, hearing police try to talk to a man who barricaded himself inside an apartment with a baby.
Baby shouldn't be in a situation like this, so I'm really, my heart really goes out to the mother, the child, as well as to the family of the child that's going through all this chaos.
The situation impacting families here. Bus routes were changed, and some families, including Keybray Browns, slept in their cars overnight after they were forced to evacuate the building for safety. Brown lives in the building where this incident took place.
Trying to make the best of the whole situation and trying to figure out when we'll be able to get back to our house and be comfortable.
JSO says Duval County Public Schools were made aware of the situation, of course, that impacting bus routes this morning, and they said on Twitter that they made adjustments to make sure all kids got to school this morning. As for that man who has been detained, JSO has not identified him, nor have they said if he will be facing any charges. Again, the most important information right now is that everyone is safe. On the west side, Leah Shields, First Coast News on your side.